Hello everybody, welcome to Jupiter Karma's All Signs. On this video I'm analysing for you your natal position of Jupiter. What does it tell you about the karmas you are bringing with you and the opportunities for you in this life? All the information is on the video for every sign placement. If you are new to my channel, sub below. Let's begin. So what are the karmas that Jupiter represents in our chart, everyone? First of all, who is Jupiter? He is Guru. He is pure sattvic being who is giving to us the purest knowledge possible, the highest spiritual wisdom. He is encouraging us to moral dharmic action that will take us out of this material prison house. So he is the most munificent, the most compassionate and forgiving. But we can bring with us negative Jupiter karmas, and these karmas are normally related to where we have not been honoring teachers, not being honoring gurus in some way. Jupiter, which is afflicted by a malefic or maybe sometimes retrograde, may show these sort of karmas in some cases. So Jupiter definitely links us to the higher knowledge and the higher power. He gives us faith in our religion. He gives us a sense of devotion and happiness and bliss. Jupiter also rules the element of ether, and this is very important. Ether is the finest of all the elements. It represents actually space. And when we have ether strong and harmonious within ourselves, we have a feeling of safety and security. This is a very important understanding about Jupiter. So Jupiter rules actually hearing, ears and sound vibration, and obviously mantra. All of this grounds us, makes us feel secure. But check also where Jupiter is in your chart, because that house is actually your particular safe space in life. And the sign where you have Jupiter, as I'm going to be showing you, those activities, when you engage in them at the purest level, will also give you actually a feeling of safety and security. So in this way, Jupiter is karaka for those things that give us this inner feeling of security, wealth, guru, dharma, children, husband, elder brother, and prophet. They all come under the rulership of Jupiter. A quick point about the difference between the sign and house position of Jupiter, everyone. The sign position of Jupiter will definitely show you where those karmas are manifesting in your life according to that sign's propensities. So how you learn, how you engage with guru, teachers, etc. can all be shown by that sign. But the house placement in your chart shows that area where this will be particularly pertinent because it will impact other areas from that house. You see, Jupiter by house is a very particular factor. Jupiter is actually akin to a lamp. So where you place that lamp is not always the brightest place. Sometimes that house position of Jupiter, people can become confused about astrology because it doesn't seem to be giving you good fortune in that house. It's actually by the 5th and 9th aspects that Jupiter lights up and gives beneficence and good fortune. Check on my channel, link below. A playlist I'm now starting for you, giving every house position analysed for you in detail. Finally, everyone, it's so important to look at Jupiter's placement in the D1 and D9 chart by sign. The D1 birth chart shows you those definite karmas which are so prominent in your psyche in this lifetime. But the D9 shows how you evolve with them, where you can take them to the highest level. So it's very important that you analyze both. Now, if you have Jupiter retrograde in your chart, do not fear. These readings will apply to you in exactly the same way. In fact, for you, Jupiter is extremely powerful karmically. Coming up soon on my channel, a whole playlist of retrograde planets in which I will explain to you particular karmas and indications in these cases. So let's begin with Jupiter in Aries. So Jupiter in Aries, Mars energy combines well with Guru Jupiter. In this way, past karmic debt here is positive. You have performed good duties religiously where you have been energetic to help those in need. Very often you've been a fearless warrior type person. You may have been in warlike situations also sometimes. So this life, you carry this fearlessness with you. Mars Jupiter here gives you wisdom, logic, and great intelligence. You are hugely philosophical, but you are like a missionary sometimes. You are all out to persuade people of your truth very often, and this can be positive or negative according to other aspects. So how do you gain fortune and security in life, as Jupiter wants to bring you when you have Jupiter in Aries? First and foremost, by always moving forward to new ventures. Jupiter makes you an absolute entrepreneur, someone who is always seeking new opportunities and always finding them. You're an adventurer at heart, so you always are never holding back from risk taking. So going with this is definitely fortunate, because don't forget, from this sign, Jupiter is the ninth house lord of good fortune as well. So you are able to find opportunities where other people cannot find them. You should always be willing to take a risk, to move forward, to do it under your own steam. And this independence gives you a real feeling of safety and security. So because of your ability to take opportunities when they present to you, not afraid to go into new territory, not afraid to do things alone, you often are very, very fortunate in gaining wealth. This is definitely a superb position for business, for entrepreneurship. This is definitely good for any career in which you have to work off your own back. Extremely creative, thoughtful, and innovative. You have the ability to go beyond what other people thought possible. Jupiter in Aries is a definite good position for management and leadership also. Another factor that Jupiter in Aries gives you, though, is an extreme liking sometimes for argument. You really like to argue your point. You are not afraid to put out what you really believe, and sometimes this can get you into sticky water, but because Jupiter is favorable from past life situations where you bring good karma, you normally do not lose friendships or people's respect because of this tendency. In fact, for females, this will attract to you a very independent, strong-willed, enterprising husband, someone who is also maybe argumentative too. So arguments may occur in the marriage, but well, that's just life, isn't it? Happens all the time. But here's the thing, Jupiter Aries gives you a confident, supportive husband of whom you can feel very, very proud indeed. So Jupiter in Aries then, where Mongol and Guru meet, makes you an absolute fighter for humanity, for right and for good. You have high ethical standards. You are very independent, entrepreneurial, and definitely you argue your point to the last T. But you're a very exciting person to be around also. So Jupiter in Aries is an all-round fortunate position. Now, when you have Jupiter placed in the luxurious sign of Taurus, there are some good but some difficult indications. We need to combine them here. You see, Jupiter is now in the sign of Venus, in the sign of the Asura teacher, whereas Jupiter is teacher to the pure beings. So, what tends to happen here is you are bringing past life knowledge, which is definitely coming from a Venetian factor. You have great knowledge of relationships. You know how to relate to other people. You have been through some sort of difficult situations relationship-wise, and you have been kind, thoughtful, and in this very life you will gain good karma in regard to many relationship situations. So Jupiter's going to make you definitely here a very caring, inclusive and family orientated person. You find security within your family friendship network, and you definitely like to surround yourself with familiar objects. You can gain enormous wealth and security with this Jupiter for sure. But here's the thing, Sagittarius is the 8th house from Taurus. Therefore, there will always be times when you will be tested around this material security need. There can be sudden reversals financially for you, particularly business, family, finance factors also that take you by surprise, so sudden transformations can occur with this Jupiter Taurus that are testing you. Do you have inner faith? Do you believe in something deeper than just material factors? Because that will always be the last testing factor for Jupiter. So Jupiter in Taurus then, if it is negatively aspected though, is going to give you some aspect of selfishness due to this fear of material lack. You really do need to feel that you are materially secure. So hoarding and saving and being too concerned about what you may lack in the future can really affect you negatively. And this is the thing that Jupiter is going to test from his 8th house placement. He's definitely going to test you time to time. Where is your real faith? Is it in the divine or in the material Maya? That will always be a test for you. For females though, Jupiter here is very good because it gives you a very conservative, down to earth and a good provider as a husband, someone who can give you a feeling of safety and security for sure. So Jupiter Taurus is a good position for material factors, for wealth building, but it does test you from time to time because Jupiter Venus are not good friends. Jupiter in Gemini. Now Jupiter is going to struggle a little bit here because Mercury has a different agenda, an opposite agenda. Jupiter is knowledge. Mercury is also knowledge, but Mercury is mundane knowledge. Jupiter is divine knowledge. So there is a conflict. What's happening is that you come into this incarnation with so much ability to deal with people. You have business sense, you have marketplace insight, you know how to make people agree with you. You are a charmer. You come in with huge communication skills from past life experience. So you can expect to be very popular, very charming, very diplomatic, definitely, and extremely talkative. So Jupiter in Gemini is definitely going to give you a very fast-paced life. You're always finding new friends, even new relationships. You're always going to new environments. Education can be excellent and very well aspected because of Mercury's intellectual factors, which are really very strong here. But Jupiter Gemini gives change, gives an inability to sometimes stay the course. You are intensely curious, fascinated by new things and always going on to the next factor. This is a very skilled position of Jupiter. You can have huge musical skills, huge artistic skills, which can absolutely bring you enormous good fortune. You know how to make things understandable to others. So Jupiter Gemini definitely is a superb position for a teacher. So will Jupiter Gemini increase your wealth? Definitely, Jupiter can give you wealth through your talent, through your hard work. Particularly, Jupiter is really good in any communication industry, journalism, media, anything where you are writing, communicating is superbly aspected to increase wealth in your life, most certainly. Husband here will definitely be somebody who is very changeable, very talkative, very adaptable. Sometimes Jupiter Gemini, just sometimes, but not always, gives more than one husband, but that's not always the case, because Jupiter Gemini just gives a very adaptable, changeable mate for a female. But it can be very positive, because Jupiter here indicates that you want a husband who is a bit like a brother, a bit like a friend to you, so that you can have that real talkative aspect, friendliness there all the time. And if it is well aspected, it can be a very successful, long-lasting relationship for sure. So Jupiter Gemini is a very fortunate factor. Although Jupiter and Mercury are not friends, ultimately. So summarizing then, Jupiter in this sign makes you so adaptable, so flexible, but also a little bit fickle. You have to watch that you are steady at all times. People may not know what you are really about sometimes, because you are so changeable. Jupiter makes you absolutely talkative. Jupiter gives you extreme communication skills. You may even be a comedian, because Jupiter makes you know how to make people laugh. In fact, you're a very charming person. You know how to charm the birds out of the trees, as they say. Your way with words is second to none for sure. Health aspects, though, are definitely around stress. Jupiter in this Mercury sign, just like Virgo, increases stress to a great degree. So all of those stressful aspects in your life have to be calmed down, otherwise ill health can occur. Health-wise, you need to be concerned with all factors around digestion, because stress is increased when you have Jupiter increasing, expanding in this mental sign with Mercury. Exactly like Jupiter Virgo. You become extremely stressed, extremely agitated very, very quickly, and this is the worst health aspect here. So when Jupiter is in Cancer in your chart, this is the exalted position in the Vedic system, where Jupiter is his most munificent and most beneficial to you in your life. You are bringing with you extremely good Jupiter karmas here. This would indicate, because the moon is family, nurturing mother, that you have past lives created good karmas around motherly factors. So there can be many scenarios there, but you've either been a very good mother, or a caring for your mother has been excellent. Good family traditions have been upheld, and even sacrifice for family has occurred. So you are actually now receiving this in a very beneficent way by this highly exalted state of Jupiter. So these good karmas give you excellent factors like good memory, ability to learn, ability to find the perfect guru, the perfect message for yourself. Very often, though, you are very traditional, and you are more or less not going beyond religious factors of your family, mostly, but many other factors, many other grahas involved may take you far beyond that. But even if you do, you still have a tremendous respect for your family, cultural tradition and religion, without doubt. Now, this position makes you an extremely caring, moral and loyal individual. You get very good lifelong friends. You stick by people through thick and thin. Career is definitely helped by this position. You find opportunities opening. They just open before you. Doors open. You find the right connections. People are just there to help you. People respect you and absolutely look up to you. You have an intense ability to create a family atmosphere wherever you are, even in your workplace. You are protective, nurturing. You love children and young people, and can be an excellent educator for sure. There is little negative to say about this exalted position of Jupiter, but there is a tendency sometimes to gossip, to want to find all the details of people's lives. That may be there a little bit also. But really, what you are really doing is you want to help others, you want to protect others. So finding out all about them, ultimately, you will take action to protect others. I've seen people with this Jupiter do the most amazingly selfless actions to help other people. Now, Jupiter is Karaka for wealth in your chart, so Jupiter exalted will definitely increase assets for you over the lifetime. Study house position aspects carefully, but here's the most important factor. Jupiter Sagittarius ruler is ruler of your 6th house of conflict. So even if you have sometimes conflicts coming up in your work situation that may be happening, you always come out on top. All litigations normally work very well in your favor. Jupiter here gives you a very expansive home, a very good domestic situation. You can go right up that ladder for the highest material aspects in property for sure. As far as your career is concerned now, Jupiter in Cancer, as I say, is going to give you favor of superiors. People look on you with a great deal of favor and promote you. Opportunities come surprisingly when you least expect them, but you are always favored in your working situation unless you have afflicted Jupiter, because Jupiter here is going to give you abundance. He's going to give you security. So how do you get your security, Jupiter in Cancer? You get security by helping others. You get security from your tradition, from your religion, from your family, from your culture, most definitely. If you are female, Jupiter here is very favorable for a very moral, righteous, helpful, generous, and kind husband for sure. It's one of the best positions possible. So all in all, this is good karma coming back to you in this Jupiter position. Make the most of it, most definitely. So Jupiter in Leo with the Sun as ruling planet is very favorable. In fact, some sages even say it has elements of an exalted Jupiter in it, most definitely, because the Sun is actually akin to Jupiter, Guru. Sun Surya is a most pure being who wants exaltation of consciousness, who is moral and righteous at all times. So past karmas, you may have been a very exalted person. You may have had riches and fame, and you bring this within you, this feeling of being important. You have this definite feeling of self-confidence. Now, if Jupiter is afflicted here, particularly by Rahu, this can be over self-confidence, where you are overly pushing forward, where you are completely seeing yourself in a not very accurate light, and you overestimate what you can do in life and fall short. So you have to be careful of that. But mostly Jupiter Leo is excellent for a good, healthy self-esteem. You are also extremely charming, extremely gracious and kind to other people. You have the ability to make other people feel happy. You're sometimes a very entertaining person, but not always. You are mostly really about being upright, kind, caring, giving guidance. More than anything else, you like to guide other people by your example. Now, Jupiter Leo is normally favorable for general education aspects, but what you really like is being on show. You like to be before people. You like to be in a position of authority. So very often that is your absolute goal. You can actually benefit other people through this because you are always just, always kind when you are in any sort of authoritative role. As far as your working life is concerned, Jupiter in Leo is often attracted to politics or to public life in some way. Government life is definitely shown because of this Sun aspect. Wealth creation is definitely helped here. You make your own wealth. It's not about inherited wealth. It's about your hard work and what you gain yourself. Females find a very upright and ambitious husband with this position. Sometimes a very dominating husband also, but normally that works out fine. How do you find security then with this Jupiter in Leo? You have it within yourself. Your inner sense of self-esteem, your inner sense of who you are is the most important factor here. No matter what you have to go through by other karmas in your chart, Jupiter Leo, in the end, make sure that you always land on your feet. You still believe in yourself. You don't lose hold of who you are. So when you have Jupiter the Guru in the sign of Virgo, the multicone sign of Mercury, there are many, many good factors to help you in this life for sure. Don't think of this as being the fall of Jupiter. That's all Western system. No, Jupiter works very well here. From a mundane point of view, it's actually excellent. The issue is when it comes to faith, religion, and spiritual factors. Jupiter Virgo gives a tendency to absolutely explore multiple faith systems, trying to dissect and analyze to find essence of truth. And in a way, this can be hugely favorable, but some level of deep faith can be, in some people, disturbed. On a more mundane level though, Jupiter in Virgo is very good because it gives you a high intellect. It gives you an excellent memory and a great ability to learn. In education, if you have good aspects, you can go extremely far, right up to PhD, no problem. In fact, you just love being in education. You enjoy school. You enjoy learning. You enjoy organizing all of your files and getting everything sorted. It gives you a great feeling of satisfaction. So you're a very data-driven person. You want evidence of everything. But on the difficult level here, difficult karmas here mean that you get yourself tied up in a bit of an obsession sometimes with having everything right, so everything which you say, you have to go over it again. You have to go over everything which you write again. Have you made yourself completely understood? So this continual obsession with perfection can sometimes hinder you in life. But this need to have data supporting everything is actually what gives you security in this way. Jupiter gives you a real feeling of safety and security the more raw data you can collect on anything. If you have illness, you'll be looking for every practical research indication in that area. So raw data, hard facts, these things actually make you feel secure. So Jupiter in Virgo gives you good career success in any area where you have to have high levels of organization and a very good level of education. So you like to work with your brain. You like to be able to think problems through. Mundane work is not going to satisfy you. Slow gain of assets is definitely helped by this Jupiter. As far as husband is concerned, Jupiter will help you to find a very helpful spouse, someone who's very practical, perhaps has very good skills in DIY, etc. can be seen here. One of the issues is, though, a high level of criticism coming from your spouse, but this is just reflecting who you are, so it's something that you will no doubt learn to deal with. So Jupiter Virgo is a very helpful position in any chart. It's not going to give sudden climb, it's not going to give sudden assets, but it's going to help you to organize your life in a tremendously helpful way. So when Jupiter Guru finds himself in the sign of Libra, ruled by Venus, there's a slight conflict going on here for sure. Venus is the actual demigod Sukra of the Asuras, so his whole purpose is material enjoyment, the complete opposite of Jupiter Guru, who is really for taking us out of this world, as I've just explained. So a conflict is there, but still Jupiter is munificent and going to give benefits because Venus, Jupiter are still benefic planets. So you are bringing with you into this life definite past life experiences of arbitration, meeting people halfway, compromise. You're very good, therefore, at human relationships and business relationships. Jupiter Libra is very good in business, very good in self-employment. This makes you a really artistic, musical person too. You are expert in many of the artistic spheres. You are very polite, very compromising, very moral, and a very just person for sure. So you're always looking to mediate, and you may even end up sometimes in law fields, some of you. But the problem with Jupiter here is that the expansive nature is curtailed by Venus's agenda. Jupiter wants a deep spiritual experience, but he isn't going to get it here in Libra. So what tends to happen is you tend to focus on the outer aspects of people. You've got to be very careful, I've seen with this Jupiter Libra. You can be misled by people if you are not careful. You believe everybody is perfectly fine, perfectly okay, but underneath you've got to be checking out people's motives sometimes. Husband for female here is normally very favorable, particularly for a very handsome husband, a very artistic husband, a very wealthy husband, often seen because Venus is material resources. Marriage can increase these no end if you are female. It's very important to see that Pisces, Sagittarius signs are 3rd and 6th from Libra. Therefore, some element of conflict, arbitration, litigation, conflict always comes into this sign's experience here. It is expanded. Even though you are accommodating, careful, kind, considerate, nevertheless, you do come up against these difficult situations in your workplace, in your marriage sometimes, but not always. You have to check D9 chart, and certainly in your skill base. So Jupiter Libra gives definite wealth because Venus indicates wealth, but you have to fight for it sometimes. You see, Jupiter Libra makes you have to have conflict to have gain. So you may have competitors, very often difficult factors in your business that you have to deal with from time to time. So it's not an easy route to wealth, but wealth is definitely increasing because Venus is favorable for all material assets, certainly. Jupiter in Scorpio is very favorable indeed because Mars and Jupiter are friends to each other. Past life indications are of definite deep knowledge, definite occult study and wisdom of a very strong sort indeed, which you have brought with you. If you have Jupiter unafflicted, you are actually able to teach this now. You are able to go deeper and gain the most superb knowledge of occult science, including astrology. Religion interests you too, philosophy. You have a complete interest in knowing what this whole material manifestation is about. Mars is actually astrology planet and Jupiter gives great wisdom. So you are definitely gifted in astrology with this Jupiter Scorpio. Jupiter in Scorpio indicates that you have faced many situations of danger, even life-threatening danger, past lives, and you may have helped other people in such dangerous situations also. You therefore are actually given protection when you face danger in this very lifetime, and you are able to give such protection to other people as well. Your greatest gift to the world is your deep occult knowledge, and you can be a superb teacher of this as well. You are scientific also, a very good researcher. You may go high in academic knowledge because of extremely strong intelligence with this Jupiter for sure. Now, because Jupiter rules from Sagittarius, the 2nd house from Scorpio, and from Pisces, the 5th house from Scorpio, you have a chance for extreme wealth in this lifetime, some of you. All depends on many other karmas, but at the very least, you can make wealth work for you and you can increase it to a very large extent. Why? Because Sagittarius, 2nd house from Scorpio, gives you help from your family, gives you a real interest in your family well-being and tradition. Fifth house gives you luck, if you like, in speculative gain, but this is actually coming from past life karmas. So Jupiter Scorpio gives a very powerful husband for female chart. This is going to be a man who is gunning on all fours to make his own life. He may be self-employed, he may be business person, but whatever he is doing, maybe he is in research field as well, but whatever area he is working in, he is definitely giving you a real feeling of security and safety. So where do you in general get your security? Where do you actually have safety when you have Jupiter in Scorpio? So this is definitely going to come from knowledge, from power which you gain from knowledge. You are definitely driven by a deep-seated need to understand this material manifestation in every facet. So this deep occult spiritual wisdom gives you a great feeling of happiness and security. So when you have Jupiter in Sagittarius at birth, this is a multricone or stronger sign of Jupiter. This is most favorable indeed, because this shows a past life inclination was to philosophy, religion, gurus. According to aspects, e.g. if with Rahu, Saturn, malefics, there can be difficulty due to past life stresses that are still in your soul consciousness, okay? But these would have been around religious, philosophical conflicts which you underwent. But in this lifetime, you have the good karma of having been a teacher before, of having been a preacher before, of great philosophical concepts. Jupiter in this sign gives you ability as a teacher, as an academic, most definitely, but it gives you definitely restless nature. Because of the movable nature of this sign, you are always moving on to the next place. You may leave people behind, jobs behind, situations behind at a moment's notice, because Jupiter is the explorer here in this Sagittarius sign. You will absolutely go to many different foreign lands, many different foreign situations. You are impelled there. You need this sort of exploration, excitement, and adventure. You are really an adventurer at heart. So Jupiter makes you a very high-minded, moral and righteous person for sure. You are always interested in moral action, right action. So any career where you have to give guidance to other people is most definitely favorable, including, as I say, teaching or maybe religious instruction also. You are definitely very restless though in your home life. Home life becomes impacted strongly by this Sagittarius Jupiter. Why? Because Jupiter is your fourth house lord from Pisces. So restlessness, moving home, changing residence, going to different foreign lands, continually traveling far and wide is most definitely part of this Sagittarius Jupiter. So Jupiter in Sagittarius for female chart definitely helps you find a very high-minded, moral, philosophical and often religious husband who is a great support to you. There may be a lot of change involved, e.g. moving home, marriage may take you to foreign lands also, but all of this is generally seen to be favorable. So Jupiter Sagittarius then is going to give you wealth for sure, but wealth that you create with your knowledge and with your high education. But very often property aspects, home aspects, these also add to your wealth. Jupiter in Sagittarius finally gives you a huge optimism. You are able to see the bright side of any situation. Nothing gets you down for long. You are always looking to the next venture, the next possibility, and opportunities come to you. I have often seen out of the blue with this Jupiter Sagittarius. You are proverbially lucky. You always find something at the last moment that pulls you out of a hopeless situation. It's a very auspicious position indeed. So Jupiter in Capricorn is in a debilitated state. So Jupiter is going to create some delays for you for sure. But ultimately, success is shown because Capricorn is hardworking and ambitious. Past karmas are definitely coming here around social factors, e.g. you are very aware of hierarchies in society, very much aware of social justice issues. This could be because of factors in your past life in which you felt at a disadvantage. So in this very lifetime, you are very politically minded, very aware of social justice issues, and very concerned to remedy them. You can get into all sorts of political or hierarchical situations in this life, but where you work best is in a position of power and authority. But you are very much someone who is organizing, concerned with structural factors. Jupiter Capricorn gives a great ability for organization, for structuring a routine. Your life will have a definite routine every day. You like to know where you are going, what time you have to be there, and what you have to do. If you do not have this, you do not feel secure. So your security factors come from building routine and stability in your daily life. Now, as Jupiter is Karaka for wealth, you are definitely going to build that slowly over time, but you have to be mindful that Sagittarius rules the 12th house from Capricorn. So losses, obstacles, delays in wealth building are definitely seen here. You can often slowly work up that career ladder to ultimate success though, but delays are shown. Jupiter Capricorn often gives late life success. I have seen this where you absolutely gain prominence and even fame sometimes later in life than would be normally expected. Now, one of the factors Jupiter Capricorn often shows, because of Pisces rulership of third house from Capricorn, is sibling issues and miscommunication. There can be conflicts with siblings that really disturb you in your life sometimes. Or for some of you, if it is a well-aspected Jupiter, then siblings are a help to you, but it's normally hindrance shown. But a very strong sibling bond is most certainly indicated with this Jupiter Capricorn, with much involvement with them over lifespan, most certainly. Jupiter Capricorn indicates husband for female chart. You are definitely going to have some sort of delay, often seen here, finding husband, because Capricorn indicates delay. Saturn delays here. But ultimately, Jupiter Capricorn gives a very family-minded, upright, moral husband who is in some sort of management position generally shown. Older husband, by the way, may sometimes be indicated here. So don't forget, Jupiter in Capricorn also gives you extremely hard-working nature, because Capricorn is about hard work and application, and Jupiter expands those qualities of any sign where he resides. So you can expect to work hard all of your life. You won't want to retire. Jupiter in Capricorn is not interested in retirement, but hard work consistently. And here's the good thing. Jupiter Capricorn will give you the best fortunes when you deal with delay, when you deal with obstruction and loss, which may be there financially many times, as I say, because of Sagittarius 12th house. But ultimately, Jupiter Capricorn gives enormous gains later in life. Very often, the very productive part of your wealth building and your career and success will come late in life, definitely with this Jupiter position. So Jupiter in Aquarius is in a neutral position because Saturn's multicone sign neither helps nor hinders Jupiter's agenda here. What happens is you are coming from a very scientific basis last human life. You have a very rational viewpoint. Sometimes there can be atheism or agnosticism shown here, which may continue for some of you in this lifetime, but other aspects have to be seen definitely. Jupiter here is scientifically based, here to serve humanity. So Jupiter in Aquarius is definitely going to give you skill in science, in technology. This position is very much associated with ICT, digital technology and internet. These can be a great source of wealth for many of you. Jupiter in this sign networks you in a huge way with society. You have endless new friendships coming into your life continually. You are always open to new friendships, new connections. You become a socialite in some ways, hugely liked and appreciated by a wide variety of peoples. You are extremely caring when you have friends in need. Nobody could be a better friend than Jupiter in Aquarius. Sometimes Jupiter in this sign gives skills in artistic factors like writing, very often science fiction or unusual innovative areas can be seen because your focus is always on the future. Aquarius is about future aspects, and Jupiter expands that need to look to the future. So seldom would you dwell much on past factors. You are not sentimental. You are definitely down to earth, rational, basing everything on scientific evidence most surely. So how will Jupiter increase wealth by his codical significance here? Definitely he's going to increase it through organizational activities, government organizations very often science related careers, and as I say, technology based careers. But here's the thing, Jupiter in this sign is always looking for the next opportunity, and you can become very lucky at finding opportunities where nobody else had thought to look for them. This is because of Jupiter aspecting Saturn in this way and giving ingenuity. So Jupiter in Aquarius generally means for female chart that you want a marriage of equals. You want a supportive, friendly like relationship with your husband, and you are likely with good aspects to definitely get that. Jupiter here shows that you want somebody who is very much caring for the wider world and has many interests outside of the home that you can share with them. So Jupiter Aquarius often gives a long-lasting, friendly situation with the spouse in which you share many interests in common for sure. So Jupiter in Aquarius is not promoting philosophical and religious factors so much as humanitarian needs. And this is where you get your great good fortune. You get security, good fortune and harmony in your life when you are continually extending yourself among your fellow humans. You are here to be of use to people, to guide people in some respects, but mostly to serve them. So Jupiter here is a great servant of humanity, and in this way you gain all security and good fortune. So Jupiter Guru in his own sign of Pisces is a very auspicious factor in any chart, especially if well aspected and well placed, because Jupiter has shown that you have found self-realization past lives. Although you have obviously not found liberation, you have studied so deeply spiritual and scriptural injunctions. You have found truth, and you are here to expand on that and to find it again. So Jupiter gives you such a kindly, caring, open nature. You are a friend to all living beings, including non-human animals. You have an expansive nature that is always open to looking to the deepest factors in any situation. You never see the surface of anything. You are always looking to the karmas behind everything. You are always looking to understand What is the spiritual reason for this? So it all depends on your culture of origin. But whatever religious system you were brought up in, you immediately embraced it. You immediately tried to find the deepest philosophical truths, and they resonated with you without doubt. So as far as wealth creation and material aspects of life, Jupiter here is amazingly fortunate for you. It's almost as though wealth just comes to you naturally. As much as you need is always there. You never normally have lack or want with this Jupiter Pisces. Because of the past good karmas, Jupiter provides for you when you keep your mind on the high spiritual factors. You are not naturally inclined to being concerned about wealth as a most important factor, as it were, in your life. You just know that you will be provided for, and you always are. In fact, Jupiter favors you when you put aside concern for material factors. The more you focus on your spiritual life, the less you have to be concerned about material factors, because if you like, wealth flows to you just like those two fishes. It just comes there when you need it. You are not here to be concerned about material opulence, but according to other karmas, you can definitely have good wealth creation, but not by focusing on it. That's the clue. You see, Jupiter here is going to make you a very high metaphysician. Metaphysics means looking at the deep reason behind everything happening. So you cannot see any situation from an objective point of view. You have to look at the deep reasons behind everything. And this wisdom, and it is wisdom, will be appreciated by your friends and your family and all of your network circles. You can become a sort of guru to other people. They mightn't think of it like that, but they seek you out for your deep wisdom and helping nature. Now, Jupiter in Pisces for female chart attracts a most philosophical and high-minded husband indeed. You will certainly get a guide and a soulmate husband, because Jupiter is about soul concerns. Jupiter Pisces, though, is not a practical indication, so very often you need to make sure that you've also got a spouse, male and female this is, who is always feet on the ground, able to take care of those practical, mundane activities, because this is a very dreamy position of guru. Guru is not looking at the material life at all here. Guru is in meditation, in retreat. Finally, Jupiter Pisces gives extreme success in foreign lands. Jupiter takes you to far distant lands from where you were actually born, and superb career success can often be found in these locations most definitely. So all in all, it's a very auspicious position to see in a chart. So I hope that was helpful, everybody, to understand Jupiter by sign. Don't forget that Jupiter in every house of the chart will be coming up as a new playlist starting this week on my channel. If you are new, don't forget to sub below. And goodbye for now, and God bless you all.